Thank you. So, as usual, it's customary. We have some new members in the audience. Some old regulars are here. Welcome everyone. It's customary for me to introduce the concept, and I will take a moment to share with you something that I saw on Facebook, posted by the Bliss Catcher of the March edition. We had two Bliss Catchers in March. One is Jagyaseni Chatterjee and the other one is Dr. Lalita Santanam. So Jagyaseni Chatterjee is a dancer who came to Chennai with just 17 rupees and found herself drawn to the city and immersed herself in dance, and she's learning Bharatanatyam even now. She's learning from Dr. Lakshmi Ramaswamy. So I saw this on Jagyaseni's post on her wall and I thought this is interesting. She puts up a picture of herself having coffee in this beautiful Bliss Catcher mug. And she says, coffee in the Bliss Catcher mug. Before I begin a busy Sunday, this seemed to be a perfect start. Those in Chennai, Bliss Catchers can work wonders. Curated by AVIS and Vani, it is a live talk show held at Odyssey. Some share their journey, some listen, but the common thing is all those present dare to dream. And that's what Bliss Catchers is all about. I really love the fact that people are talking about Bliss Catchers outside of the show. They're posting their thoughts, and I thought I must share this with the audience here. I'm sure Jagyaseni will catch up with this sharing of mine on the video for today's session. So Bliss Catchers is all about people who dream and who dare to dream. But then many people who dare to dream also, when they wake up the next morning, go back to just living their lives. They don't actually follow through on what they believe in. And that is not unusual for that to happen, because the whole world seems to be thriving on this phenomenon of earning a living, living a mediocre life and complaining about it. Earning a living is not wrong. Living a life below your standard of happiness is not wrong, but complaining about it, I think that's questionable. And many people end up doing that. So how do you deal with this? How do you make your life interesting? If we ask ourselves this question, one man went to Osho and said, Osho, what is the meaning of life? And Osho said, life has no meaning, because you were born with nothing and you're going to go with nothing. So all this is drama. This whole thing that you people are doing about life is drama. So life is meaningless, said Osho. Joseph Campbell, who lived around the same time, and we are inspired by him, that's why we call this series for the Bliss Catchers, because it's modeled on his philosophy, inspired by his philosophy of follow your bliss. Joseph Campbell came in and said, Osho may be right. Life is at one level completely meaningless, because you are born with nothing and you're going away with nothing. But you have an opportunity to bring meaning to life. And that opportunity is what Bliss Catchers search for. That opportunity they search for in a very simple way. They just follow what gives them joy, what gives them happiness. They just follow their bliss. So Campbell went on to say that if you follow your bliss, doors will open. And somebody recently, 2 days ago, mailed me and said, this person was attending our Bliss Catcher sessions regularly, but nowadays he's moved to Delhi because he's got a job there. He wrote to me and said, Avis, you often say and quote that your session, the Bliss Catchers, is inspired by Joseph Campbell and Campbell's philosophy that follow your bliss and doors will open. Has that really happened in your life? This was his question. And I want to share the reply that I gave him. Of course, there are many, many, many instances, but I'll talk to you about one instance. At the beginning of our bankruptcy, so we are going through a bankruptcy, Vani and I, at the beginning of our bankruptcy, I called up a friend and I asked him, I won't name him, he's mentioned in the book though, in my book, I asked him for some money. And he said, my dear friend, I wish I had some money to give you, but I don't have any money to give you. But I'm going to give you an important piece of advice. You want to take it, you take it. You don't want to take it, don't take it. And what was the advice? He said, AVIS, please write a book about this experience that you're getting into. That man was almost prophetic. He could see what I could not. And I thought to myself, why is this message coming to me? And intuitively, I started recording the experiences. I just followed my bliss of sharing my innermost thoughts, which later became my book. A publisher manifested from somewhere, nowhere in fact. Westland published my book. My book's been out there in the market for 4 years, fall like a rose petal. And if this book had not been there, I wouldn't have even discovered that I had the potential to share stories with people and bring all of you together in this show called the Bliss Catchers. So does follow your bliss open doors? I can give you 100 other examples, but for this evening I will tell you, yes, it does open doors. So all we have to do is to move in the direction of our happiness, of what gives us immense joy. And that's what our Bliss Catchers do. I have two such people with me today who are the inventor and Veena Artist Baradwaj Raman and the veterinarian Dr.Anand Krishnaswamy. Both of them have amazing stories, and I'm going to introduce to you how I know these people. So sometime in 2016, Baradwaj, you will have to help me here with my memory. Sometime in 2016, we were at the ITC Grand Chola at a friend's book launch. And who do we see playing there? Baradwaj. Now I am a kind of a jnana sunyam in music, so I cannot make out a raga from a raga, an instrument from another instrument, all of that. You know, I'm a bit weak in that area. But I enjoyed the music. But more than the music, I enjoyed Baradwaj introducing the music, especially because I don't have a background in music. So I like somebody who's walking me through it. And that's what he was doing. And your friend was playing a particular instrument that day.
Cajon.
The cajon.
See,
I can't remember. It's a European instrument.
It's spelled cajon, K-A-J-O-N, but it's pronounced cajon.
Cajon. So, and he beautifully introduced the instrument and its history, and then they all played, jammed together. It was a half-hour performance. 1 hour performance. It was great. And then we met Baradwaj a second time. We got so intrigued by his story. I did a little bit of research, and I discovered through a conversation with him that he discovered music. He discovered his illustrious grandfather's legacy much later in life, and decided to make music his full-time career, and decided a little more than that to go ahead and invent this beautiful instrument called SarasVitar. What we found in our conversation with Baradwaj, so when we meet a bliss catcher, potential bliss catcher, we explore their journey, and we're looking for what is this person sharing by way of the journey. And what brought us closer to Baradwaj's story was the fact that he was a man who was completely enjoying the process. And we're going to talk about that journey, but let me tell you, he's one of those really, he's an embodiment of enjoying the process of doing whatever he's doing. Not that it's an easy process, it's got its own upheavals. And then recently, we attended a beautiful play. If you have not watched a beautiful play, if you have not watched it, please make time to go watch it. It's a play called Baradwaj, which is produced by Baradwaj's dad and is directed by him. And
I did the music for
you did the music. He did the music for that.
My mom's acting in it.
Yeah, I discovered that just today. I mean, on stage, I didn't connect with her. I didn't relate to her until KK introduced her to us. So I think, apart from the fact that it's a family production, I think it's a world-class production. And it gave me so much of insight into life. And I particularly like your music there, Baradwaj, because as I told you, I'm quite distant from the technicalities of music, but I like poetry, and I've always admired Bharatiya's poetry, but in Tamil padikka varadu. So, now kettu rasiche aniki, and to a large part, the play, its setting, and the fact that you composed the music perhaps helped them. And of course, Isai Kavi Ramanan, who did the Bharadiyar's role, who did the role of Bharadiyar, amazing. So that's Baradwaj Raman for you, ladies and gentlemen. I have him here very shortly with Dr.Anand Krishnaswamy when I finish the second introduction as well. Now, one of the interesting things that's happening with our Bliss Catcher community is that one Bliss Catcher helps us identify another one. So in October 2017, in season 3, we had Raghavan Manian, the multi-instrumentalist who gave up a promising IT career in the US to come back and immerse himself in music. He was our guest, and he said, when he finished his Bliss Catcher conversation with us, he said, Avis and Vani, you must meet this man, Anand Krishnaswamy, who is a veterinary doctor, but he's taken the decision to be a veterinary doctor pretty late in life. And we were intrigued. A veterinary doctor so late in life. First of all, I'm sorry to if I'm sounding different here, but at least the world I come from, people normally choose to be MBBS doctors who are in the regular space. I have seen very few veterinary doctors in my life, so I presume that veterinary science is not a very coveted thing for many people on the medicine side. This is my assumption. So one is that to me it appears like it's not very coveted. Secondly, so late in life you want to go and do veterinary science. This is like amazing. So we met Anand and we found in him a very stoic, a very grounded, a very calm person. Now all of this are very important because in the middle of your life you decide to give up a consulting career, you decide to give up what you have studied for and go back to school, which is veterinary school. Invest 5 years on it, 4 years, and pick up a veterinary science degree because you love animals and you want to do that for the rest of your life. Now when he does that, life is not easy. Life is not easy because Sri Lanka, where he graduated from, does not allow foreigners to practice. India does not recognize a Sri Lankan veterinary science degree, and the US at the moment seems out of bound, out of reach. And so at your middle age in your life, you find yourself having followed your bliss and hit a dead end. What do you do with it? Is that a good introduction? Yeah? How do you do it? And that is what we're going to talk to him about. So many people who attend Bliss Catchers often say, what happens if things don't work out? In this case, it has worked out. What happens if things don't work out? And I want to tell you from Vani's story and my story, sometimes things take a long time working out. And you got to have the faith and patience. And we can see that remarkably in Dr. Anand Krishnaswamy. So on that note, let me invite the two of you, Dr. Anand Krishnaswamy and Baradwaj over here. Please join me. It's easy for you to get up and go. Okay. So are we all set? Yes. Okay. I need to get settled in my chair. Yes. So this is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ramesh. Okay. So here we are with the evening, starting with the conversation right now. Just for all of you to know, those of you who are new, this will be a conversation between the three of us. At the end of the conversation, we'll open up the floor for audience questions and interact with you. And we close down the session sharp at 8:30. We are very particular about starting and finishing on time, so you can have the rest of the Saturday evening for yourself. In this time, somewhere around 7:40, we have what is called the midway quiz segment. In the midway quiz segment, you get to win this beautiful mug that Jaggi Seni says her coffee was tasting great. Okay, so your coffee tastes blissfully different when you drink your coffee in this mug. These mugs are to be won if you answer our quiz questions coming up in the midway segment, which is around 7:40, and then we have another segment where the guests are going to ask you questions, and so you can win mugs at that time also. The midway question segment, I will be asking you questions on the guests, and in the final segment, the guests will be asking their choice of questions to you. Okay? So that's the format. So are we all set? Yeah? Shall we start? Okay. I don't know why this chair is feeling a bit uncomfortable. I hope it won't fall off, No. Okay, fine. We'll go on. If it does, we'll deal with it. Okay? So, there you are, Baradwaj. Let me start with you. Okay? My first question to you, Baradwaj, is please pick up your mics and turn them on. We tested them. I think they're all set. Yeah. So, Baradwaj, let me ask you my first question. You were heading off, like many other people in your life, to have a proper corporate career. You did your BCom first, and you should have been in a job. Okay? So let me ask you, if you had not moved in the direction of music, if you had not done all that you have done possibly in the last 10 odd years, how would you think your life have been? As a child, what were you dreaming of your life to be? We all have our dreams, so I'm curious to understand what was your ambition as a child and which direction were you heading in at that time?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this amazing place and for this lovely initiative that you're doing. And thank you, AVIS, for thinking of me as a person as a bliss catcher for this evening. So I had lots of ideas as a kid. I wanted to join the army. I wanted to, as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, I was so ambitious. I wanted to be part of the army or navy. I had so many ideas. And then when I was doing my college, I was focusing on trying to do an MBA. I was not very good in mathematics, and even now I'm not very good in mathematics. I was not good in taxation, so the only option was MBA. And the other amazing option was law, because both my parents are lawyers. So that was another option. But somewhere down the line, I felt that, when I used to study, most of my friends used to study with music in their background. I could never study with music in their background. So
And you were saying this, that's interesting. Okay.
So I used to listen to more music than study. So I think that was the connect which started in probably 2002, 2003 when I was doing my BCom. So music was there, and I think it has always been there. I think the realization to think of it as a career or think of it as a path came much later.
So in the context of listening to music while doing something else while you were not there, but you did prefer to listen to music than do something else.
Irrespective of what I was doing, I preferred listening to music.
That's
music was always there.
Music was always there.
And initially it used to be cinema music, and then it became devotional music, then bhajans, then abang, then Hindustani music. Finally, I chanced upon Carnatic music because we had lots and lots of cassettes and CDs at home. And I started listening to lots of my grandfather's performances and lots of his lecture demonstrations on music. That got me thinking as to why I've been trying to figure out what I was doing, because I already have something at home which I can start pursuing.
So that was around, let's say around 2002, 2003. You were finishing your BCom at that time?
No, I finished my BCom in 2005. It was 2002 to 2005 is when I did my BCom in Vivekananda College.
So when did you take the actual decision saying, I'm not going to pursue my MBA, but I'm going to do a master's in music? Because you do have a master's in music, right?
I did my master's in music in 2009, so it was from 9 to 11.
Oh, okay.
I had a 4-year gap because, again, it was not any decision to stop studying as such. My research started then. So in 2004-05, I was into the phase of understanding the Veena, understanding the instrument, understanding music, Carnatic music, how Veena fits into it, how it could have fit into something else, if not Carnatic. and I was trying to understand what all instruments I can be good at. If not for Veena, then I tried sitar, I tried different instruments, and finally I came to Veena because I knew that's what I was good at. And I know, I've played different instruments, I've tried different instruments, but Veena has always fascinated me. And so in 2004, I've had lots of small episodes of Veena getting broken, Veena getting repaired, and then Veena string breaking, and then I used to wait for my father to come and do it because I never knew how to even tune an instrument. So, I mean, not tuning an instrument, restring an instrument. So that's, so 2004 is when I started to figure out how to do certain things which are necessary for an instrumentalist.
Can we turn the mobile off, please? Excuse me. Yeah.
For an instrumentalist, certain things which are, for example, if a car tire has a puncture, so we should basically know how to remove the tire and fit a new tire. So these are some basic things that any car driver should know. In the same way, I had certain things which I never knew which were there, like restringing an instrument, refretting an instrument. I was very fascinated because there are not many people who do it, and not many people knew how to do it. And this fascinated me more than other things.
So let's just understand your journey up until now. You grew up in this musical family, endowed family of Veena Balachander, okay, this blessed family, okay, and you went into BCom, which you completed in 2005, but sometime in 2003, you started, 2003-2004, you start doing your research on the Veena as an instrument. Now why research? Why not do something which comes naturally, like play the Veena, or what drew you into research? Why are you using the word research, and how do you qualify it?
I had lots of Veena repairers coming home and then repairing the instrument because the instrument would go out of tune at least twice a year. Every 6 months the instrument used to go out of tune. And I used to feel very nervous and scared giving it to an outsider who would not know how to do it or would mess it up, and then finally after 3 days after he leaves I'll have to realize that the work is shabby. And I'll have to search for someone else because I can't call the same guy because he's anyway going to do a shabby job. So this finding out of the right repair guy to repair my instrument is what started me to think about doing something on my own. But apart from that, the experimenting on an instrument came very much later. But the thought of experimenting came in 2003-2004 itself, because I wanted to make an instrument which not many people know how to do, which any repair guy should not be able to meddle properly. I mean, if he comes, he should be able to do a decent job, irrespective of how the instrument is. So, it has to be in a particular way in which he does in such a way that he can't mess it up.
And all these are your grandfather's instruments?
Yes. All these
instruments they not only have an emotional value, they have a period value also.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
They belong to a...
so all the instruments were made from 1978 to 86 in that period. So all of them are very old instruments.
Okay. Who was playing these instruments at home when you were growing up? Because your grandfather passed away when you were just 5 years old.
Yes.
Right? So who was playing it? Was it you? Was it other members of the family?
My father used to play a lot initially, but after that I don't think anybody else does. So I had to learn everything the hard way. So I had to learn how to string an instrument. I mean, of course, my father used to teach me all that, but there were so many other things like polishing frets, like repairing a broken Veena. All that I had to learn the hard way because there were not many people who knew how to do it.
Were you enjoying that process of working with the instrument, going beyond just being able to play it, but understand its science and understand its sounds? Was it something that you enjoyed as a process?
This is where I think my brother helped me a lot, because he's a mathematics genius. He's a science genius and mathematics genius. So I used to hate mathematics in college. So when I started understanding about the instrument, the acoustics and the science and the physics of it, I had to keep on calling him and asking him doubts about calculus, about trigonometry, geometry, angles, how the Veena is positioned, why a particular way a Veena is being made. And then if I have to make it the same way, how can it be done, how can it be replicated with the same materials or in different materials? Because some of these materials you can't get today. So this is where my brother used to help me. So I enjoyed the process. I initially hated maths, and now I actually understand the value of mathematics and value of trigonometry while making this.
While making this. We'll come to that part, but I wanted to ask you a pointed question. When you finish BCom, typically when you finish graduation, we are always asked this question, அடுத்தது என்ன பண்ண போற? Are you going to do a post-graduation or are you going to take up a job? Did you face any such questions, any such pressures? And A, that's part A of the question. Part B, how did you within yourself give yourself those 4 years to research, to experiment, to understand the instrument more?
எனக்கு பேசிக்கா 2005 I finished BCom, but then in 2009 is when I did my masters in music. The 4 years of gap I took because I wanted to understand the process of both making and learning a Veena from a proper guru, and then process of making a Veena I never found a proper guru. So I had to learn the hard way. 2009 I did this masters in music is because I wanted to take up PhD or doctorate in the same subject of making a Veena.
Wow.
That was the reason why I took a master's in music. Otherwise, I would have taken master's because basically we are born with a certain understanding of music, and we have to study and research more. It can be done at home, or it can be done through a university. A university is an added advantage.
So you went in that direction.
Because
how was the social influence on you? Were you under pressure to tell people what you were doing?
When I was doing my BCom, it was peer pressure, which is why I did BCom. Otherwise,
otherwise you would have done that also.
No. It was peer pressure. Everybody was doing something. I had to do something.
Okay.
That is the reason why I did BCom. Otherwise, BCom has no value now, because what I'm doing and what I studied is completely different. I could have probably done, automobile engineering or something like that, which would have helped me with this, or mechanical engineering, or material science. Or metal science, where I can at least understand the value of metals and how they help me with my instrument.
Right.
So BCom in this is completely different.
Fantastic. I'm going to come back to Baradwaj for your journey and ask you a few more questions as we go along. But for now, I have to do a quick summary and then move to Anand's journey. What I'm picking up is, I've often heard this, that your life's purpose finds you. Imagine growing up in Veena Balachander's family, in the household, growing up with all those instruments, and really not staying connected with them, doing a BCom, and then finding that this is what I want to do in life, not finding the right teachers, immersing yourself in the art, not just the art of the instrument, but the science of the instrument, what goes into the making of that instrument. This is a classic example of your life's purpose finding you if you walk in that direction. We have a more fascinating journey waiting for us from Baradwaj, but I'll go to Anand for now and come back to you in a little bit, Baradwaj. So Anand, I have a question for you. What would have been the way you looked at, you said you love animals, okay? I think there are many people who love animals, we all have our love for animals, but love for animals as a child, okay, because you're looking at the world with a lot of curiosity. Love for animals as a child is very different from feeling for them very passionately and thinking of them as something that you hold close to your heart. That's quite different. Any early influences that you can remember when as a child you felt that your love for animals was something special, something unique?
There were several instances that I can remember that made me think or made me realize that animals were always going to be a part of my life and that I really liked them more than others maybe. Like I was a child who would bring the street dog home, not to my parents' house because that was a no-no, but to my grandmother's house because it was allowed there. So those experiences, then I was always very interested in science. And I was influenced by the books that I read, the authors that I read, Dr.Dolittle, Brain Harriet, and all those, my reading kind of influenced my thinking process also. So I would do what Daryl did. I would bring insects home and keep them in boxes in my room, etc., etc. And along the journey, I kind of realized my interest and my passion for science also. So to answer your question about how my childhood's interest for my love for animals gradually evolved into thinking that, okay, this might actually be a career for me. It was an evolution, and I had to go through a lot of different thoughts about what I wanted to do for a career just like Baradwaj. But for me, they were all related to science and all to animals. So I debated becoming a wildlife biologist, zookeeper. That was my first.
Zookeeper?
Yeah. I
Never heard of that career option.
Yeah,
Zookeeper.
I remember very clearly when I first thought about what I want to do for my career, I said I want to be a zookeeper. I was probably 7 or 8 at that time. Very clearly the influence of Daryl is there. That's later evolved into wildlife biology, naturalist. And I explored all that by becoming a volunteer with Worldwide Fund for Nature here in Chennai. I was a very active volunteer there. And by then I was already in college. And I think I was in my second year of college when I realized that actually what really worked for me was to combine my science, my love for science, my love for animals, and it kind of hit me when I was in my second year. So the combination of what really, I think, is what worked to work.
This was in college?
Yeah, my undergrad college.
This was in undergrad college. But I have a strange question here. But before that, I want to ask the audience, he speaks very softly by nature. Is he audible?
Yes.
He's audible? Okay, we'll continue. So just make sure you're... Because by nature, he's a very, very soft-spoken person.
Sorry for my noise.
But let's continue. So, it's interesting that you say that you had your sight on veterinary science in your undergrad school. But in undergrad school, you did not choose veterinary science or even zoology. You chose botany. Now, why would somebody who has such a deep affection for animals want to be a zookeeper, let us say, want to choose not zoology but botany?
Mainly because of confusion. At the end of school, I really did not know what I was doing. Like a lot of I've heard this is my take that 99% of the kids are confused at that stage. But we had just moved back from Delhi after my trip, and I knew that I wanted to do science in college. My thought process had not reached a point at that time when I knew that veterinary medicine was what I wanted. Otherwise, I think I would have made a serious effort at getting into vet college here or somewhere else. So I knew it was science. And the college that I applied to, I should say the one that gave me admission, it had only botany there.
Oh, okay.
Zoology was a minor. But I kept up my interest in zoology by doing science projects with a professor in Loyola, even though I was a student at Vaishnav College. And I'm so grateful to him and to the faculty at Loyola because they were so supportive.
Even though you were not there?
Exactly. They didn't say, here's a student in Vaishnav and we won't support you.
Okay.
And he was my guide through my science project. He actually got a paper published in Blackbuck, which was the journal, I don't know if it's still being published now, but Blackbuck was the journal of the Madras Naturalist Society. And I was so thrilled because I'd done a study on grasshoppers in the Ananagar area where I live. And we got a small paper published in Blackbuck. And that really triggered my, again, kind of kindled, and I think it made my interest in science even deeper.
In veterinary science.
Yes.
In veterinary science. So why would then you go to the US and do a master's in agricultural science? Why not have done at least at that stage veterinary science in the US?
More confusion. Confusion morphing into something much bigger. No, the story is, I kind of jokes apart. I kind of made up my mind that I wanted to study veterinary medicine in the US. Because on one side, my interest in science, I kind of thought that, okay, I want to go to the US and have the whole experience of being grad student there and so on. And all that I read about the veterinary colleges in the US were like fantastic. You know, the way the college was set up, the way they were teaching. I thought the US was like heaven. So I wanted to go and study there. The only problem was there was zero focus, there was zero understanding of what the challenges were in going and studying in the US. Would I even get accepted to a college or to the faculty in the US? Nothing. It was just okay. I want to go to the US. So I went. I actually went I got accepted for a master's program in zoology. It was my first entry into the US. But after getting into the program, I kind of realized that zoology was a program that was really meant for basic research. It was not even applied research. It was for people who wanted to get into a PhD, get into maybe really basic research or teaching. And that was really not the direction I wanted to go. And so here I was in the US first semester, having paid my first semester fees, and thinking, okay, why am I here? What am I doing? My dad has paid so much of money, and I actually thought about just quitting and coming back to China. So I really faced my first crisis in life, I guess, at that point. And I had to make a decision on what I wanted to do. I could quit and come back, or change to a different course that would lead me to a job. And I picked agribusiness at a different university because A, it seemed like a job-oriented course, and B, I had some friends in that university, particularly CHS.
Very interesting, very candid. I think the point he makes, confusion, more confusion. I don't think there is anything wrong with being confused in life. I think if you have all the answers, then you are probably not a human, right? So confusion is a great thing, because it's only through the chaos that clarity can emerge. And at least he's been candid enough to admit it. Many of us want absolute clarity on everything. That's not something that you're going to get. So it takes a lot of courage to admit that you were confused in your still. It takes a lot of courage. So thank you for being who you are. So you take a course, go to the US, find that that's not the field that you want, that's not the space you want to operate in. You migrate for earning a living reasons. Would that be a good summary? You migrate to a different program, hoping you will get a job, and you do get a job in the US. You will work for 3 years in the US, right? So in this time, when you were working in the US, when you finished your masters, how was your life feeling with regard to what you really wanted to do? Did you think of veterinary science at that time, and how did you postpone that thought?
I think I had kind of given up on my dream by that point.
You had? Okay.
Because I kind of reached a point where I said, okay, everyone who wants to be an engine driver doesn't get to be an engine driver. That's actually a quote from Gerald Durrell, it's not my quote.
Oh, it's a Gerald Durrell quote? Okay.
I remember I read one of his books.
Okay. Everyone who wants to be an engine driver does not get to be an engine driver. You can change engine driver to whatever you want.
Right.
Okay.
So, and I was in the agribusiness course, and I was actually having a very good time at Arizona State University. Grad student, life was great. It was a struggle to get a job after I graduated, but I eventually got a job. And I was just in that mode actually. I had completely given up on my veterinary dreams. But I volunteered in veterinary hospitals in India.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I don't know why I did, because by then I had actually given up on my dream. But I just volunteered. And it was great. Yeah, it was so great. I have no words to describe. It was exact, it kind of, everything that I had imagined about veterinary medicine in the US, it was all true. My experiences there, the way people treat animals, the professionalism, the way they treat me as a volunteer was nobody. It was brilliant. But I did that.
So that was your way of connecting back with what you're doing, but it was a very subconscious way.
Yes, exactly. I didn't really think about why I was doing it, or was it leading to
You were just drawn by it.
Yes.
Okay, you were just drawn by it.
Yeah. And I did it, and I did a short-term volunteer stint for it. And I came back doing what I was doing, and eventually, as you know, I left and came back to India.
Right. So we'll come back to why you came back to India and what you did with India, but the point here is that he was drawn silently towards what he believes in. That was a very quiet subconscious pull, okay? And I will have to quote Rumi here, though I just remember using this quote in a previous session that I curated, not here, at another place. Allow yourself to be drawn silently by the strange pull of what you love doing. It will never lead you astray. Rumi. Amazing. That's what I'm hearing you say. Allow yourself to be drawn silently. So it wasn't even a conscious choice for you, right? You say that you've given up your dream, so you know you're not going to be in veterinary science, but you still go and volunteer. So you're allowing yourself to be drawn silently by the strange pull of what you love doing. That's what happened to you. Fantastic, thank you. So at this point, we'll come back to the conversation with Baradwaj in a moment, but at this point, by my clock, it's the midway quiz segment. Okay? Are you all ready for the quiz? Okay? Those beautiful mugs are waiting for you. Vani is joining me here to give away the mugs. For the first question, okay, the Baradwaj Raman family cannot participate. Even KK cannot participate. Okay, anybody else can participate. So there are the Baradwaj, you know your family members, right? So I have a second question in case the first question is not answered, or if somebody gives out an answer and they're not eligible for the mug. Okay, but this is a simple question. This is a sitter. You should know this based on the conversation we've been having so far. Connect Baradwaj Raman with a 1954 iconic Tamil film. Andanal is the answer. Yes, Andanal. Connect him. Complete the connection.
Yes, Balachander.
Yes, Balachander directed it. I didn't even finish the question. I said the iconic Tamil film which had no songs. Which had it was the first Tamil film without songs. Yes. Okay, KK, I already disallowed you from participating. How can you participate? Okay, Baradwaj, please give it to Manichandran, who is a regular at Bliss Catchers. I think they have a collection of mugs at home. You should send us a picture. Oh, you started sharing it. Sorry, next one for you.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, next one. Because he shouted the answer, I gave it to him.
Okay, I lifted my hand. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, let's go to Anand's question. This one is a question on Anand. Okay. Do you want the very tough question or do you want the easy one?
Both.
Both.
Tough one.
Okay. You want the tough one?
Let's
Okay.
see.
Let's see. So connect Dr.Anand Krishnaswamy with a man. This is a tough one. Okay. Connect Dr.Anand Krishnaswamy with a man called Shahi Hotra, who's the son of a sage called see, it's difficult even for me. Hayagosha. Okay. Son of a sage called Hayagosha, and his name is Shalihotra. Okay. This man lived around the time of 2300 BC. Okay. Connect Dr. Anand Krishnaswamy
Was
with him.
animal lover?
More than that. More than that. If nobody else answers, I'll still give it to you.
First
care of a
veterinarian.
deer. He took care of a deer and they made it
First veterinarian.
Yeah.
He was a veterinarian.
Yes. Yes. May I give the mug there?
No problem.
A newcomer, I'll give the mug there. Okay. Yes. He was the founder of veterinary science. An Indian founder of the veterinary science space. Am I right?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Okay, so Manichandra got it right.
No problem.
But we'll give the mug there. Thank you for being gracious. Thank you. Okay, so Vidya, your first mug.
Yes.
You should keep coming. Okay, the coffee will taste different tomorrow. So do you still want the second one? No prizes for this. This is the sitter. You should know this. Connect Dr. Anand Krishnaswamy with Eddie Murphy, the famous Hollywood actor Eddie Murphy.
Dr. Dolittle.
Dr. Dolittle, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Dr. Dolittle it is. Dr. Dolittle, a man, a character who spoke to animals. Okay, that's the one on Anand, but no mugs for this. We have 2 mugs already gone. I think on that note, we'll ask a sitter for all old-time Bliss Catcher. Again, no mug, just the question. Connect Baradwaj Raman with a Bliss Catcher who started this all.
Baradwaj.
Baradwaj Raman, absolutely right, and a national award winner. I knew it was a sitter, so no.
Even before you started.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Right. Oh, that's right there. So Baradwaj Rangan, at that time the film critic at the Hindu National Award winner, was our first guest in the Bliss Catcher series in 2015. And that's how our Bliss Catcher journey has started. It's in the 4th season right now. Fantastic. So we had a little bit of fun with those questions. Let's go back to Baradwaj's story. So Baradwaj, you take up a master's in music, and your idea was to do a PhD in the science of making Veenas. Okay. What kept drawing you to this whole process of creating a Veena? Okay. And talk a little bit about how that translated into making of your invention, the SarasVitar.
So basically, starting from 2006, 2007, I was trying to find the right repair person for my Veena, and I could never find the right person. I've called so many people home, and then, as I said, it was a tough decision to find the right person, and then pay so much of money, and then realize he's not done a decent job. So I went to Tanjore. I wanted to do a proper documentary on what these people are doing. Are they actually making proper Veenas, or is one particular person, as a director or whatever you call it, is equipped to do the whole Veena, or does he do just one portion of an instrument and then give the rest of the work to someone else, or different parts of the instruments made by different people? I wanted to find out what was happening. So I realized that the tradition of one craftsman doing one instrument has lost one. It was completely gone by late 1980. So today, one person does one part of the instrument, someone else something else, someone does the polishing, someone does the painting, someone does the cutting of the wood, someone does the shaping of the wood. So there is not just one person who does the whole instrument. It's always by different people. And I could never understand why they were all doing it in a particular way. I would tell them I want it in a certain diameter, certain length, certain width. And they would say, illustrious, I'm selling so many instruments per month, I can't do this for you because this is going to take extra effort from me and extra wastage of wood, I can't afford to do that. So that's when I started to think of in 2013. And the idea for the process started in 2010 when I went to a concert tour to UK, London and Scotland. I had taken my grandfather's Veena. It was a concert Veena that he had been using for very many years, some 20 odd years. So he has 9 amazing Veenas, out of which 4 Veenas are his concert Veenas. So one among the 4 Veenas was used for very many years by him. I had taken the same Veena in 2010, and the airlines handled it very badly. And I found out that there was a big crack in the instrument. I had to take it to one of my good Veena carpenters whom I could rely on, and then ask him to open the instrument completely and then redo the whole instrument. And I spent quite a lot, and then he actually did an amazing job. But that's when I realized that I couldn't, depend on my grandfather's Veenas anymore, because the same thing happened again. I can't find the right person. This person is already very old. This craftsman who helped me with repairing the instrument is already he's like 80 years old. So I can't ask him to redo it again. So I wanted to learn the way of making an instrument, the method of making an instrument in different kinds of materials in such a way that they don't break. So the idea started in 2010. The experimentation process started in 2012.
And how did this SarasVitar actually happen? What was the trigger? So at one point you were experimenting, you were tinkering, you were doing all these things. But I don't know how invention works. I've not invented anything. But was it like an aha moment? Like, come on, let me go and do it? Or was it an incident that happened in your life that provoked you to go in that direction? What happened?
Okay. When you listen to me play in that in ITC, Ranchola, that was a different instrument. That again was a trial version. I had so my father was talking to me about making an instrument which is completely portable, detachable, but then not using bolt and nut. So I took it up as a challenge to try something different. So I made it with magnets. So that whole Veena was dismantleable with magnets. And that was a proper Veena again. You could find a resonator, you could find the shape of an instrument there. But then I took this particular instrument to Mayavaram in 2017 February, and then the onward ticket was confirmed, the return ticket was not, which I did not know, and it was a 11:45 night train, and the TTE said I have to get down because the ticket is not confirmed. I should have known, I didn't know, and what I did was I bought a local ticket for 30 rupees or something like that, and then I waited for the 3 a.m. train. So I had to be awake because I had an instrument with me, I had an amplifier with me, I didn't want it to be stolen. Had it just been my clothes bag, I wouldn't have worried. So I had 3 bags, a lot of luggage, and I had to lug it through from unreserved compartment to B2, which was 16 compartments.
Wow.
That's when I realized I need to make a portable, smaller, lightweight, detachable instrument. So 16 compartments is a lot of pulling. So I had to lug my luggage to 16 compartments. That's when I decided.
So that was the trigger.
That was it.
Sometimes life makes you think of what the unstated needs of the market are. I mean, nobody goes out and says, I want a portable Veena. Okay? I think you go through an experience that makes you ask, why not? And I think that's what he's sharing. You ask yourself, how long am I going to do this? Is there a better way of doing it? You're already thinking in terms of a portable Veena, but how can I make it lighter and yet not lose its quality, right?
Yeah, and the ultimate aim was to be able to take it as hand baggage in an aircraft. The idea was that I can just detach all parts and then just take this fretboard as a hand baggage in an aircraft. I remove everything else and then put it as in my regular check-in luggage, so that this can be with me in my own control, so that people can't.
The main piece.
Yeah, the main piece, so that cannot be mishandled or manhandled.
Why do you call it the SarasVitar? You're moving away from the definition of a Veena, or the naming of a Veena is in a particular way. It's one word. SarasVitar is 2 words, and almost you married a sitar into the concept. Have you?
Yes. That was the second idea. It's still in research process. I want to be able to play it like keep it vertically and play it. So we find lots of sculptures of Goddess Saraswati in lots of temples which are like at least 800 years old or 1000 years old, where she keeps the Veena vertically. It's not kept horizontally. So I want to be able to do the same. Any lute is called a Veena. Veena is our national instrument, national musical instrument. So any lute is called a Veena. So Saraswati Veena has undergone lots of changes. But then all the sculptures of Saraswati show that she keeps a Veena like this.
Right.
Right. So I want to be able to do the same. And we find guitarists doing the same. We find guitarists having a strap and then playing a guitar like that. I want to be able to do the same, but then not use a strap, have different materials and try to have the same posture and try to be able to play in the same manner.
So you're working on that.
I'm working.
That's the vision.
Yes.
That's where you're headed.
Yeah.
Can you lift that and show it, because people at the back cannot see?
Yeah, he's also. We're going to ask him a couple of more questions on that, but for now we can just lift it and show it.
So this is probably what I want to do at some point.
Okay.
And play.
Fantastic. I like that vision, because as I said, I'm not a great musically oriented guy from a technical point of view, but I buy into that vision completely, because when we got married, we got a gift of a Saraswati idol which is still at home, where the goddess is holding the Veena upright, and I've always wondered, why don't instrumentalists play it upright, right? And that's really what you're talking about.
Yes, that's what I wanted to achieve.
Fantastic, fantastic. Let me go to Anand and come back to you for a couple of more questions on your journey, Baradwaj. But Anand, you were working in the US, you were volunteering in the veterinary science space, you were doing things subconsciously, and then you come to India for 13 years, and you have been a consultant in India for 13 years. What led to this feeling of meandering through life, feeling restless? Can you describe that feeling? How did you discover that your life was not going anywhere and you had to do something about it?
Sure. It was
Were you not having a job and getting a salary? You were doing all the things that are commonly done, right?
Right.
But what was leading to the emptiness in you?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of ironical because I actually had a very nice career and a very nice job. I did I went down the usual path of working for a big company when I came back from the US. I did that for a year and a half, and it was the most miserable 18 months of my life. I think by then I had realized that working for a corporate or being in a corporate, traditional office just was not working for me. But I was also lucky because I got this consultancy opportunity with an amazing organization that was again US based. And what I need to describe what the project was in order to answer your question. And it was a project that was that supported innovators and inventors. And what we were doing was people like Baradwaj who had very nascent ideas or prototypes, but who would not get funding from a traditional bank or a financier to take their ideas to the market. We would come in and support them with grant-based funding. And we would try and help them to reach a point where they could then go to a venture capitalist or to a second, grade funder to get funds to take it to the market. Because the idea was we would support only technology-based inventions. They had to be impactful on the poor of India, and they had to be market-based. They could not be great ideas but those that would never succeed in the market.
Right.
Now through this journey, I met some amazing inventors like Baradwaj. People who were so passionate about their ideas, who were so invested in their idea, dedicated their lives to taking this idea and creating the impact that they wanted to create. All this time, I had come back and I gone back to Blue Cross and I was volunteering there again after I come back from the US. So I think that's really the trigger. Meeting all these amazing people who were so passionate about what they were doing, that made me really question what I would do.
Okay. So the circle of influence around you drew you into it, and you started asking yourself, what am I doing on the other side? Right? Why am I not doing what I believe in doing?
And it kind of really, kind of rekindled that feeling because I realized that I also had a passion.
How did you then go about actualizing it? What did you do with that feeling? Many people sometimes feel that flame but extinguish it saying, I'm too old for this.
Yeah.
How did you go about, so was it a very clear-cut idea that, hey, it's veterinary science that I want to do, or was it a fuzzy idea that, oh, I've left behind veterinary science, what can I do with my life? What was it?
Yeah, it started out being really fuzzy and being really kind of a fantasy. Like I'd be sitting in my office and I'd be researching universities in Europe and in the US. And it really was, it seemed like a fantasy to me because the fees over there were so high that it was beyond my, I could not even imagine paying like $100,000 a year to attend veterinary college in Europe. But I kept fantasizing about it. Nothing stopped me from sending emails to faculty in Europe and the US saying, hey, I'm interested.
So did you get callbacks? Did you get an opening?
They were all very polite. They all replied. They say, sorry, but we don't have any scholarships. And so the faculty
You know how that feels.
So then, it was like for a few weeks and months. And if I had a slow afternoon at work, I'd go back and start looking for more colleges. So I know all the veterinary colleges all over the world. And I know all of them would support their scholarships. But, the feeling, it kept nagging me, and I kept thinking that, I have to do something about this. Until it reached a point where I could not do anything anymore. I could not just sit and not do something about it.
This again reminds me of Rumi. That feeling was nagging me. I realized that I could not sit at work or at home and not do anything about it. What you are seeking is seeking you. Rumi. What you're seeking is seeking you. So it finds you. It comes in various forms. It won't allow you to sleep. That's what I realized. So that's amazing. So did you straight away apply to Sri Lanka, or did you try other colleges before you zeroed in on Sri Lanka? And why Sri Lanka?
So why Sri Lanka? It's simple because that's the only college I could afford. The only foreign college I could afford.
Why couldn't you have studied in India? Why did you choose universities abroad?
India would actually, Madras Veterinary College would have been my natural first, it was my natural first choice. I would have just loved to be in Chennai, studying here and doing my usual routine here. But colleges in India have this weird and very, I I
Yes.
don't know how it works, but I mean, you can't get into veterinary college here if you're beyond the age of 21.
Wow.
And that is, I think that rule dates back to 19th century British times when they first set up the veterinary college. No, it's true. It's true. And what do you do? I mean, somebody says you can't apply because you're over 21. You can't even, what do you argue with them? What do you go and say? So I went to my veterinary college anyway, because I had to. I wouldn't take their word for it. And I went and met the dean, the dean, and I said, okay, I'm really keen to come and study here. And
What was the reaction? Looking at you, your age, your work ex, all of that.
I think he even invited me in only because I was a bit older. And so he made me sit down, he was very welcoming, and he said, okay, when I told him this, he said, okay, which community do you belong to?
Which community? Okay.
From his side, I think it was a practical question because his next question was, how much did you score in your trial? And I said, okay, I'm just trying to leave. But I answered it. And he said, boss, there's no
So
way
how
to
is
get
Sri Lanka different from this?
Sri Lanka was different because I think they actually dug into their rules when I applied and I wrote to the Odyssey there. They have like 0.1% of their, or 1% of their seats, overall seats, that is reserved for foreign students. There's only one faculty in Sri Lanka, which is the one I attended. And I'm the first foreign student to ever apply that to an academic course. And probably the last one.
Okay, I have a more direct, more searching question for you. I'll come back to you. But it's interesting that he didn't give up. That he goes to Madras University, although the admission norms say that he cannot apply. Okay, that just shows how deeply immersed you were in that space. And then you go to Sri Lanka and you study for 4 years over there, right? Now, when you are out of Sri Lanka, you have a degree, you can call yourself a veterinary doctor. Isn't it strange? Isn't it a travesty of justice that you should find yourself being rejected by Sri Lanka because the Sri Lankan board, because you are a foreign national? You should be rejected by India because they don't recognize the Sri Lankan degree, and you really can't go to the West because there are too many entry barriers.
Yeah.
How do you deal with this, all these no's that are coming at you?
I believe there's an old Chinese proverb that says, may you live in interesting times.
May you live in interesting times.
So, no dearth of excitement, let's put it that way. But yeah, it is kind of I hit a kind of a roadblock here. I hit a wall. And I'm just trying to figure out how I can get through or over that. Sri Lanka was actually the most disappointing aspect of it because I actually knew that India would be a problem before I went there. And when I went to Sri Lanka, I spoke to them before I went there because I wanted to have at least some assurance that I'd be able to work somewhere. And all along they told me, no problem. You're a student here, you're graduating from here, it's a formality. And you just have to go and you apply, you start doing internship with all your classmates, and you'll be allowed to work. But this is again a problem of the system in Sri Lanka, where they don't really address a problem unless they're actually confronted with it. So when I came to year 4, and there was only 1 month left for my finals, I went back and I spoke to the dean. And I had been talking to the faculty every year because I knew that the procedure was like this. And that's when he actually woke up and said, oh yeah, you're graduating very soon. Write me a letter and we'll table it at the Sri Lanka Veterinary Council. And that's when they came back and said, sorry.
So how do you deal with a situation like this in a social context when people, your peer group has probably moved on, your family has moved on? Don't you get asked what are you doing with your life? How do you deal with this? And what's your state of mind when you hit a uncertain patch in life with having followed what you believe?
I think first off I should say thank you to my parents because they've always been very supportive. And I think they've always recognized that here one kid who's a bit off track. He's going to do things that are not
conventional, traditional.
And they always support me, so that's a huge thank you to them. I think it's just that clarity that this is your path and you really have to follow. So that aspect of what you're asking about how you deal with peers who've moved on. Yes, of course it is. The jobs do come. I actually have a friend who's retired because he's been on that path and he's earned enough money. He doesn't do anymore. So yes, of course those questions do come. But I think the clarity is there. That would not have worked for me. If that had worked for me, I'd still be working for that corporate that I left after a year and a half. I would have taken that job where I got a ITC and earning whatever they're earning now. And it's very clear for me that was really not my scene.
This is amazing, people. That was really not my scene. I think this clarity is what keeps people going. I know what it means to deal with uncertainty. In Anand's case, we do have his parents who have supported him. In my case, it's Vani and my two children who have supported the choices that I have made and have never questioned me as to why we are going through what we were going through and what we continue to go through. They've never questioned that. And I think this phase of uncertainty has taught me something very, very beautiful. It has taught me that it is better to be happy in a dark place in life than to be unhappy in a apparently prosperous phase in life. This is what I have learned. And I can feel that in what you're just saying. That if it is not your scene, if you're not feeling for that from within, don't go that way. Don't do it. Because at the end of the day, you want to have a good night's sleep. And that has not been lost for me despite a decade of Truman. And I'm sure you sleep very well with what you're doing as well. He works at a veterinary clinic, but he can't draw a salary. He can't practice professionally because the law does not allow him. So he volunteers them. I won't use the word work, but he volunteers them and enjoys the process. Okay, fantastic. I need to go to Baradwaj and ask him for two things before we open up for the audience. One thing. So I asked a very pointed question to Anand and I'll ask you a very pointed question. Isn't what you're doing off the beaten path? This is not what conventional Carnatic musicians are known to do. You either play the Veena or you go and give it to a repair person, an expert, and fix it. It's very rare that a person will play it and also repair it himself, right? So, have you been criticized? Have you been critiqued? Aren't people asking you, are you not too old to be doing all these, trying all these things? How do you deal with all that perspective and feedback that comes to you?
These questions have been asked by traditionalists, as I call it, and only people whom I've known as acquaintances. Most of my friends and my family members, all of them have been supportive. One thing, and my father has given ideas for improving it. So he's been part of the process of evolution of my idea as such. So that is one thing. Now, when I call traditionalists, when I say traditionalists, I say people who have been manufacturing the instrument or selling the instrument which have been manufactured by others, let's say retailers or distributors, whoever, they have been criticizing it because they felt that their market would grow.
Wow.
Otherwise, I don't think there has been any criticism as such. But I'd definitely love to get help from researchers, let's say IIT or someplace like that, where I'll get more ideas for improving the instrument. But I have not had any criticisms as such, because I think the idea as such is the design and the way I've done it by itself is very appealing. So I don't think criticism, yes, it will be there at some point.
Because you're breaking a norm, that's what
Yes,
it is.
yes, I am, and I will face it at some point. When I face it, I think I should have the courage to take it, and I think I do, because so many years of experience in this.
Anybody who walks a different tune, once you put out your story out there, is open to critique and criticism, and we got to learn to take it.
Definitely.
Learn to take it. Yes. I wanted to ask you, between creating, so I heard what you had created for Bharadiyar, and I loved it because it introduced me to the poetry in a very different fashion. Of course, the whole production itself was so appealing that it kind of drew me into it. So between creating music and creating the instrument that makes the music, which part is your bliss?
I think the creating itself is the bliss. Creating music is understanding patterns and appreciating patterns. Creating a Veena also is like understanding a pattern understanding the method of doing it and then appreciating it. I think it's the creation part which is what is, and it's not the end result, but the process of creation is what gives me bliss, not the end result as such.
Beautiful. It's the process which is, the journey is the reward. The journey is the reward. Amazing. Fantastic. Okay. So even before we open for audience, I'm going to ask you, would you like to play a small piece now that you've showcased your creation here? Would you like to play a short piece for the audience?
Sure.
Thank you.
So the song that I'm going to play is from Andana's Charitram by Gopalakshmi Bharati. The famous song Vadi Marikthirukkude, the Ragam Natikkurji. Again, I would relate to the song because it's because Nandanar is asking God to open the doors for him to see God or see the eternal bliss as such.
You want one of us to hold the mic for you?
No, this is fine.
बड़ी माया रही मलई पोले मारे बड़ी माया रही मलई पोले
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Baradwaj. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please join us back here. So let's now open the floor up for questions. We'll keep it to sharp questions, no comments please. Please choose the opportunity to talk to them offline. If you have comments and observations, keep it very focused on questions. Yes, Vidya.
My question is, you said that Madras University did not take students in the age of 21 in your time. Now, supposing there's another dreamer out there who wants to do the same thing as you. So when you came back and you faced all these, did you kind of go back to them and ask them to open up or something like that?
Back to Madras University,
Yes.
I haven't once spoken to them. I've tried to explore, I've spoken to the veterinary council of India because they are the ones who regulate the profession. And they are the ones who issue registration and licenses to practice. So Madras University has nothing to do with my ability or not to practice in India. So they still quote the, as I said, the 19th century rule. And they say that we will not recognize a degree from Sri Lanka because it doesn't fall under Schedule 2 Act 1980 whatever.
Fantastic, that was the first question. Next one please.
You said you handle a lot of an animal lover. What is your favorite?
Loud, please.
You have a favorite?
What is your favorite animal, says him?
I have to say the horse. I love all animals, barring mosquitoes and cockroaches, but among all the other animals, I think I like horses a lot.
Yes, Ramesh.
In terms of cost-benefit analysis, have you done with regard to the original Veena and your reinvented Veena?
Yes, so the original Veena, a normal, very ordinary Veena costs 17,000 to 18,000. My basic Veena costs 12,500. The reason being the resonator, which needs so much of wood. So basically when they make guitars with 3 pieces of wood. They use 3 pieces of long wood and then they cut it and then paste it. You can't paste a resonator on a Veena. You can't paste different parts of a resonator on a Veena. A resonator has to be a single piece of wood. So that's what is the major cost. So I'm avoiding that because I find that there is an inherent true tonal quality of the instrument in this. So a resonator is unnecessary, number one. Number two, all of us use amplification. All of us. Including the person who calls himself as a traditionalist who prefers a proper mic for amplification. He also uses an amplification process which also goes through a process of editing of tonal quality. They use bit of bass, bit of treble, bit of this, that to alter the sound quality. So if I'm doing a concert without any percussion instruments, like without a mridangam, without a bata, then I would need a proper Veena. Otherwise, in this age, especially for portability, especially if I need to take this to Iceland for a concert the day after, and then Tirupati, the hottest place, in 2 days from that day, for me to understand the thermal change and for me to be able to adapt the instrument to the temperature, I think this is the best.
Never thought so much science went into it. Okay, quickly, any other questions? Navita, you had a question?
Baradwaj, I have a question for you now. When we talk about something like this, disruptive innovation, creation, the design especially, one person who comes to my mind from the musical world, the person who gave us the iPod, which fits in your shirt packet and how to not use it. What do you think will be Steve Jobs' impression of your fantastic Saras?
Question please.
SarasVitar. What would be Steve Jobs' impression of SarasVitar, because he is credited with disruptive innovation?
You would have snapped up the idea and
this is disruptive innovation according to Gita.
Steve Jobs did not let his kids use iPad and iPod. If I remember, he wanted them to use only for half an hour or 45 minutes, and he didn't want them to get sucked into that world. So I think he'd appreciate the fact that I've done something like this, and I'm sure someone who's in his level as of date would appreciate the same thing. Just that still not done my actual marketing because it's still under research process and this is still a prototype. I'm still waiting for my patent, so this is still a prototype. And I have so many ideas already. I've seen so many instruments, foreign instruments, which are not confined to any structure or any rules as such. So when we say Saraswati Veena, we associate it with a particular design, and we associate it to a particular god or goddess. So we say Veena Deva. Whereas in guitar, it's not so. We have so many ways of making a guitar. We have so many people making guitars in so many ways. We have cellos which are portable, detachable, violins which are detachable. But we can't do the same because we associated this with God. So I want to break that stereotype and stigma, saying that this is not just God. It can be something else. It can be much more than that. It can be God and much more. Why do you say this is just God?
This is amazing. This is amazing. I think you have to. No, I'll pass it. We can take it offline. Sorry, Dr. Chari, I've been disallowing you the mug. I've been disallowing you the question, but we are short on time. But I wanted to come in here and say this is what we need for not only for inventing Veenas, not only for music, but I think in every field we need this thinking that we have to look at what is and say why not something else. That's what is the sign of innovation and progress. And the other point which you said resonates a lot with me. We are all prototypes. In progress, work in progress, right? It's never finished. Here is a prototype, you are a prototype, I am a prototype, we're all prototypes and work in progress. Let's go to the interesting quiz segment so you can win a couple of more mugs. This time the questions will come to you from my guests and the right answers will fetch you your mugs. Okay? So, Baradwaj, your question for the audience.
This is going to be a very easy question. I'm going to ask, what is the basic difference between Carnatic and Western music? How is Carnatic different from Western music? I'm sure it's very easy to you all.
The case of Carnatic
Wait. Ramesh. Ravi's hand went up.
Carnatic is melodic, that is common.
What is it? Can you
Carnatic
clarify?
is melodic and that is harmonic. That is one idea and one part of the answer. The second part, you have
Second part, Ramesh, do you want to try? Did you have the same answer?
same answer only, but if you want me to add means, in the case of Carnatic music, it's entirely divine, God, religion based, whereas theirs is entirely 7 notes based only.
that apart, I think
I'll just make a guess. I'm not very sure of it. It's mathematical compared to Western music. Am I wrong?
no, Western music is also very mathematical.
I have no idea. Yes.
So does anyone get a mug?
Gamakam is not
yes,
there.
he does.
Okay, we'll
but
give
what
it
is the
to
answer?
We'll give it.
Gamakam is not there in Western music.
That is the answer.
Only
That is the answer.
classical.
Because melody is also there in Western music, it's also there in all kinds of music. But then Gamakam as such is not there in other kinds of music. Gamakam is there in even Hindustani, but it's not there in Western music.
Okay.
They have something called
So who gets the mug? Your choice.
I think she gets one.
She gets the mug. So Ravi, the guest's choice. So Dr. Jari, finally, Baradwaj was more considerate than I was. No, that's it. Thank you. Your answer was bang on. So thank you. Okay. Thank you. Anand, your question.
Okay, I tried to come up with a practical question and at the same time something simple for pet owners. And the question is, what is if you know your cat, if you have a cat and she becomes pregnant, how many days later do you expect her to give birth? In other words, what is the gestation period for a cat?
1 month.
3 months.
You can give, it's not an exact figure of course, you can give a range, I would say that.
3 months.
2.5 months maybe, not more than. Tiger is 3 months.
Sorry, what's the answer?
What?
What is
1.5 months.
No.
60 days.
Yes, 60 days.
60 days. Does he get the mug? He gets not 1 but 2 mugs today. Look at it. Both my guests have been very, very.
No, tiger is 3 months. I thought I might be less.
A tiger is 3 months?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So that's awesome. That's great. So both the mugs in this segment went to Dr. Chari, and both my guests have been very considerate towards Dr. Chari. So keep Okay. This is the last part of today's evening. We're going to do a quick wrap, but before that, I'd like to have Vani here with me to give away our prized trophies and the mugs to our guests. So, anybody from Odyssey, or we are doing it ourselves? Okay. So, Anand, this is your coveted Bliss Catcher trophy. Okay. We wish you all luck and do hope that you go and change the world. This is your mug. Wait, I'll give it to him also, then we can post it. Okay. This is your trophy. And this is your mug. So now we can pose for a photograph. Very quickly, we'll run out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Looking at their stories, thinking about their stories, here's what I'm thinking. That both of them have shown remarkable resilience. Anand's story particularly, it's very evident. In Baradwaj's story, it may not be so apparent, it may not be so evident, but I think for the last almost 12 to 13 years you've been on this.
Yes.
Right? 2015 to 2005 to 2018.
Yes.
And he's still envisioning, he's still thinking in terms of having the SarasVitar being played vertically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like and having the stature of a guitar. Right? The
Yes.
ease of handling. So this cannot happen.
People should start buying SarasVitars and not guitars. People should start buying Indian instruments and start buying Western instruments. They should appreciate.
Look at that vision. That is what resilience is all about. You know, the ability to have that inner strength. And he's saying that scene was not for me. So I'm picking up that beautiful quality, resilience. And I'm going to close with my favorite Rumi again. Rumi says that sometimes a voice through the door calls out to you. Sometimes a voice through the door is calling out to you. Moving in that direction of what you deeply love saves you. Moving in that direction of what you deeply love saves you. Saves you from what? And I think what Rumi implies is it saves you from misery and poverty. Because if you're not doing what you're loving, you're miserable. If you're not happy, you are leading a very impoverished life. The wealthiest are those who are happy, doing what they are loving. And that is what I see in both of you. I think both of you have a long journey ahead, you with your invention and you with your passion. And I do believe that this platform that you have come and graced, the Bliss Catchers, is probably a place where you will draw all the right energies and the best wishes and blessings of all the people here and go along with. Thank you so much. And do join us next month, June 30th, which is the last Saturday of June, for two amazing guests who are, one is a filmmaker, a Chamata engineer who went on to be a filmmaker, and the second one who gave up a job at a top multinational company. He didn't even go for the interview. He gave up the job, he refused the offer, and decided to be a solo flautist. And one is Sri Krishna and the other is Jayant, and they both are joining me here on 30th of June, 7 p.m. sharp. Please join us. Until then, have a good month ahead, and let's all hope CSK wins tomorrow.